More money's been allotted for the campaign in Afghanistan than in Iraq. Is the funding shift a dangerous strategy or what we need to be doing? Congressman Dan Burton is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He joins us live from New York. Good afternoon to you, Congressman. Great to have you today. Let me ask you what you think about that shift in Afghanistan, the focus we need to be on right now.
Well, I think it's important that President Obama make sure that the funds that are necessary for Afghanistan are authorized. And I don't have any problem with that. The only problem I have with the President's approach to defense is the long-term funding, which I think is very important. But as far as taking care of our troops in the field and what's going on in that part of the world, I think he's doing all right.
Well, let's talk about some of the overall budget picture that we are looking at with the Pentagon and other budgetary priorities. The President came out this week with a number of cuts that he would like to see, and a significant chunk of those, I believe more than 80% of the cuts, were focused on defense spending. Does that concern you at all?
Yes, it does, because we need to have a long-term view of what needs to be done in the defense area. He's taking care of the immediate needs, but the things we're going to need for future defense of America, I think, is very, very important as well. And we're spending so much money on other things that we're spending money on. You mentioned the $3.5 trillion budget we're talking about. They're printing money so fast over at the Treasury, I think they're going to run out of paper. So I'm very concerned about the overall spending and the long-term spending that needs to be done in defense.
What concerns you most? Because it looks like there are some cuts in equipment and some other things that would seem to be most valuable to our troops on the ground right there on the front lines. What can you say about that?
Well, I think that the immediate concerns and needs of the military personnel in the field, I think that's being met. I think it was met under the Bush administration. It's being met right now. But when you're talking about the programs like the F-22 fighter plane, other new defense systems that are going to be important, new technologies in the future, I think those are extremely important, and we're not going there. But we are taking care of the troops in the field right now, and in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Do you think there are any problems that could crop up with us taking some of the financial focus off of Iraq and putting it onto Afghanistan, and as well with troops on the ground? Do you worry that there will be any resurgence of problems in Iraq because of that decision?
Well, I think there's a great deal of concern about Iraq because Iran is waiting for a vacuum to be created so that they can move in there, and we don't want that whole area of the world to be controlled by the radicals. I think it's important that the withdrawal that the President's going to have some troops there for a long, long time to augment the Iraqi troops and to train more troops over there so that they can take care of themselves.
And we're also, of course, focused this week on Guantanamo Bay, where the detainees are going to go that are going to be released. There are financial concerns there as well because there's talk of spending money to resettle them here in the U.S., possibly paying other countries to take them, a third party. What do you make of that situation?
Well, first of all, only one country has agreed to take any of them, and that was France, and they've only agreed to take one. There is no reason in the world, in my opinion, we should be closing down Guantanamo and sending those people to the United States, many of whom would be released in this country, and the taxpayers of this country would be taking care of them. This is insane, in my opinion. These people, many of them are terrorists. We've had some of them that were released and went back to their home countries and became terrorists again. So I think it's extremely important that we think about this one more time. I don't agree with President Obama on this. The security of the United States abroad and at home is very important, and we should not be releasing those terrorists into the United States or bringing them to the prisons in this country. You could have a terrorist attack at some point where we have some of these leaders that are terrorists, and it could cause a real problem in the communities surrounding those prisons here in the United States. So I think it's a bad policy to bring them here.
Congressman Dan Burton, we thank you so much for your time today, sir.
Thank you, Shannon.
Well, this weekend was a big one here in D.C., a Hollywood-style